Come on, Kitty Poos. It is Friday morning. It's Tony Kurre here from Tony Kurre Radio, here to spread a little love and joy, and of course, talk about some of the things I got going on. And I want to get this. I want to get this Amber Heard testimony and this Johnny Depp thing, man. Wow, what in the hell? Anyway, wanted to mention yesterday, and I posted a couple pictures on social media on Tony Kurre Radio and my personal stuff. Kudos to Oak Mountain School District. We have some fun with teachers and stuff on the show, but man, Special Olympics were yesterday, and I've got a son that's got a bunch of different special needs, some challenges in his life, most amazing kid on the face of the earth, and of course they had Special Olympics yesterday, and I tried to explain to his brother and his sister about why he acts the way he does, and I think Oak Mountain is one of these wonderful schools that has an inclusion factor in it, where kids with special needs can actually go to school with other kids, typical kids, in the school district. I don't know how that is outside the Oak Mountain School District, but I know a lot of schools are trying to do that. When I went to school back in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have that. And it's super important for special needs or challenged kids to be with typical kids so they can see how things work. It's the real world, right? And I think it's even more important for typical kids to be around special needs individuals so they can learn compassion. If you're not around something your entire life, and all of a sudden it's thrown in your way, it's different. Benny Selman, good morning to you. It's different. Sometimes it's distracting. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. If you've ever been, for example, in a nursing home, you ever been in a nursing home for the first time? Remember when you were a kid in a nursing home, you're like, whoa. I mean, there's people drooling themselves and people can't talk, and it's uncomfortable. But when you're around it, you understand it more and you have a lot more compassion for it. And Oak Mountain School District has done a wonderful job, not only with my son Xavier, but with all the kids who go. So Calera High School was the place, and they've done it there, I guess, like the last 10 years or something like that, but we hadn't done it the last couple of years because of COVID. And so we had Special Olympics yesterday. And when you're talking about kids who are in an inclusionary situation at school, they never win. They never win anything. They never win the races. They never win dodgeball. They never win kickball. They don't win anything. And I know they have their special groups, but they're trying to get them to be able to play with typical kids so they see how things work. And when they make their first basket, it's a wonderful thing. So to have Special Olympics, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart for a long period of time. It was before even I adopted, along with my ex, our special needs son. Just gives them an opportunity to be with their peers and to compete in that space. And my son ended up winning a race yesterday. It was the first thing he's ever won in a competitive sense ever, and just absolutely destroyed my heart, man. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. It's like the tectonic plate of priorities in your life just totally changed. We got so much crap going on in this world, and to see hundreds, if not thousands of these kids in one place enjoying one moment to compete against each other at any level was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And I want to bless and say prayers and have thoughts for all the school teachers, for all the great helpers. My son's got a kid named Alexis and James who help him out. He talks about them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they're just great kids, and greatly appreciate Calera High School for having Special Olympics out there yesterday. It was fantastic. It is something that will stick with me forever. Today is Friday, which is the last Friday of Jazz Fest down in New Orleans. I know a lot of people from the Birmingham area and from the Southeast are down there right now. Unbelievable run of fantastic acts, thousands of acts. Stuart Rome, who is from the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. does a show every Friday called When in Rome with Stuart Rome. And originally I wanted to do the show to talk about the Woodhouse Day Spa so we could get more customers. And he's like, let's do a show where we can play some music. I want to play some classic rock. And I said, great. So every single week we've done a St. Patty's Day show. We'll do a Father's Day show. We always do some type of theme or pattern where we can pick some classic rock songs. So the last couple of weeks we've been doing songs from groups that are playing at Jazz Fest. Last week we did Randy Newman. We did The Who. Coming up later on today, it's going to be a great show, man. It's going to be fantastic. It runs at 1 and 7 on Tony Kurre Radio. Download the Tony Kurre Radio app. It's Kurre with a K, Kurre. Download the Tony Kurre Radio app. You can hear the show live. If you miss it, go to Spotify and listen to the podcast. You can hear it on demand whenever you want. We got Buddy Guy, Willie Nelson is played, Boss Skaggs, Kool and the Gang will be played on Tony Kurre Radio, Stevie Nicks, the Black Crowes, and Jimmy Page. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic show. So check out When in Rome with Stuart Rome. I actually do the show today. I couldn't hook up with Stuart because he was in flight out in Las Vegas. He's been all over the place. But I did the show today, and it is fantastic, man. It is great music that you normally don't hear on Tony Kurre Radio. Brandon Austin Morris, good morning to you, my friend. Great to have you on there. So check that out. Also coming up, a little programming note. Dear friends, a guy I've known for 30 years, and I'm so proud of him. He has done so incredibly well for himself. Taylor Hicks. I reach out to Taylor. He always texts me back, and we always want to have some type of conversation and some type of interview, and it always falls through. Well, he's going to join me for the City of Brookwood celebration next Saturday, not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, in the City of Brookwood. They are now a city, and they're celebrating that. Tab Cooley's going to be playing. Taylor Hicks is going to be the main attraction. Fireworks, food trucks, bouncy rooms. It's going to be a family fun kind of thing. It's going to be great. I'm going to be the master of ceremonies all day for the event, starting around 5 o'clock. It is free. Gates open at 5 o'clock. There's going to be drink. There's going to be fun. There's going to be music. And Taylor Hicks will be up there. And I'm actually going to get together with him, I think, after the show and hang back and break some bread with the man. But he'll join me on the show on Monday. We'll run that on Tony Kurre Radio. I'll let you know when. And we'll also do a podcast of that interview coming up for the City of Brookwood. But check out the City of Brookwood, man. It's going to be fantastic. A week from Saturday. And I'm super excited. I talked to Mayor Joe Barger, and I've known him for a long period of time. We used to play golf together. We played in a couple of tournaments. And thank you, Joe, for letting me be master of ceremonies for the big shindig coming up next Saturday. So this Amber Heard-Johnny Depp thing has been just absolutely nasty. Having gone through a divorce over the last 3 years, mine was final about a year ago. And listen, I know that half of us are going to go through it, and I never thought I was going to be one of those 50%ers, but I am. And when you spend your entire life learning to trust someone and love someone and hear their fears and their concerns and their joys and all those things, and then getting in a courtroom or having to do discoveries or depositions and all this other shit, which is just a major pain in the ass. And anyone will tell you that if you've ever been through a divorce, it's the worst thing you'll ever go through, particularly if you have kids. And then using all those things that you knew about that person against them just really sucks. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. So the Amber Heard-Johnny Depp thing has just gotten to the point where it is just downright nasty. And I know there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the table here. Part of me just wants to say the judge is going to sit there and say, listen, you both are nasty. You both have done some really horrible things to each other. Get the hell out of my courtroom, which is what I hope happens, but I don't think it will. Normally when you hear the first person, you're like, the other person's screwed. And then you hear the second person, and then right away, I'd always want, if you can get a chance to go, if you're in a court of law, always go second. Because you can make your point, but the second person, you're always going to remember what you hear last. The stuff that Amber Heard was talking about the liquor bottle and about the blood and stuff, I have no doubt. I've been around a lot of rock and rollers, okay? Not so many celebrities, but rock and rollers. And we're all messed up, man. We're all effed up. We all have skeletons. We all have major issues. We've all done things. Patsy, good morning to you. We've all done things that we would wish and hope that no one has ever known or seen. Maybe you have some skeletons in your closet and you'll have to never tell anybody because you were alone when you did it. But we've all done some really stupid shit, right? Now, I'm not saying I've ever done things like Johnny Depp did. I mean, that's beyond, that's just bizarre. It's crazy, if it's true. It's super sad. And I hate it for Amber, and I hate it for him too, because I believe that she kicked the hell out of him a few times too, and maybe she had the right. But it was just a tumultuous, nasty, chaotic relationship from the get-go. But I do think once in a while, and we you know, as you and me, Andy Moore, good morning to you, you know, we sit there and say, I'd never do anything like that. That's disgusting. That's nasty. I would never react that way. And I always want to tell people, man, make sure that you know what you're talking about before you open your mouth. It could be like if you're in a bank and a robber comes in. Well, you know, if he's right there, I would have taken him. We call it the Wheel of Fortune myth. when you're watching Wheel of Fortune, you can nail every puzzle. But when you're at the Wheel of Fortune, for some reason, it's not that easy. I was on Let's Make a Deal like 20 years ago, and I knew I was going to kill it, right? And Let's Make a Deal is more of a random kind of thing. But I froze up. I was a total idiot on Let's Make a Deal. And so it's real easy to sit there, well, if I was in that situation, or I was in a situation, or I had that money, or I had that wife, or I had that boy, you do things differently. And you just don't really know unless you've ever been in that situation. And so, again, I'm not saying that I'm with anything that Johnny Depp has done or Amber Heard, and someone's talking about my mom was abused. It's extremely hard for women to break the cycle of abuse. My mom was also sexually abused for a long period of time from her dad, and she stopped that cycle with her kids, and I thank the Lord for that, and that cycle of abuse. So if you've been abused, it's much easier. It's almost like it's something that's in your genetic code or your DNA to abuse your children, and so you have to break that cycle, and that's a great point. But I do think it's interesting, if I would say to you, I'm going to give you $50 million, could you imagine in your life never having to worry about anything financial ever again? Just think about that for a moment. We know that 75% of all people, and there's been research done on this, 75% of all people who have won lotteries of $1 million or more either become alcoholics, addicts at some point, or they die. They don't know what to do when, and you read these stories about, the 64-year-old man who wins the lottery and he wants to keep working in the factory. Good for you. Remember what's important in your life. You have to have a routine. You can't just, the idea of just retiring, doing nothing, idle times will bring the devil into your life. But I do think it's interesting because we look at these freaks, these celebrities that do these crazy ass things. And again, I've seen it a lot in rock and roll because you never have to worry about money again. You're doing something you love to do. And and with that money comes an enormous amount of power. And then if you've had a routine of whether it be abuse or alcoholism or any type of habitual situation that quite frankly you've gotten away with for years, then it's like, well, I've done it for years. What's the big deal? And now I don't have to worry about it. I can pay somebody off and be fine with it. I always wonder what it would be like to be rich beyond your wildest dreams and never have to worry about the money aspect, because if you really think about everything we do almost every single day, we do it for love and we do it for money. It's true. We do things every single day because we got to make the cash. We got to make the cash. And for most of us, just like myself, cash is always tight. We're paycheck to paycheck. We're one paycheck away from being homeless. And to know that you would never have to worry about that ever again, if you never had to worry about money for anything. I'm not talking about buying $65 million yachts. I'm just talking about making sure that the kids are taken care of. You never have to worry about money. Just think about how you would think differently. Think about how you would think differently. Because everything you do centers around love and money. And if you know that you don't ever have to worry about it anymore, would you actually be a different cat? I've seen it happen firsthand. I've got two friends of mine who were dead ass broke. Broke. Living in someone's basement, living on someone's couch until they were in their 40s, and then they came into an enormous amount of money. One friend of mine actually hit a big pick six race up at Churchill Downs, and by the way, the big race is going on tomorrow, the Kentucky Derby, and won like $1.8 million and just quit his job. And for the most part, $1.8 million is enough to live off. He had no kids, wasn't married, and sure enough, he just totally changed. He just became a dick. He just became a total jerk off. Becky Alcorn, good morning to you. And then I had another friend of mine who was in his 40s who was given a plot of land from his uncle or something. They found out there was oil on it. And they paid him like $16 million for it. And like he was 47 years old. And I was so happy for him because all of a sudden he went from broke to being a millionaire. And I was like, dude, remember what's important here. He was pretty faith-driven, went to church every Sunday, was God-fearing. I'm like, man, keep that in your heart. Remember your routine. I said I would continue. He's like, well, I'm going to take some time off, and go start another business. It never happened. 3 years later, he's dead. Overdose. And was probably one of the most grounded guys, despite the fact that he's broke, one of the most grounded guys I knew, and just totally lost it. Because he didn't have to worry about that aspect of his life anymore. And I think a lot of people, that's why you see Elon Musk, who's got more money than anything in the history of the world, who continues to be motivated, engaged by whatever he's put on this earth to do, and that is to create these businesses or create, space travel, or in this particular case, maybe buying out Twitter and changing its platform. And I love people like that because they're motivated not by so much the money, but by changing the world and changing the way things go in their lives. So just something to think about. I think it's really, really interesting. I can't imagine, and quite frankly, I know we all pray for money. I always just want to pray to have enough to get me through. If I had a little extra so I could do something nice for my family, maybe go on a nicer vacation or drive a nicer car, that's super nice. But I don't think I can handle it. Kai, good morning to you, brother. I'll see you in a few hours. I don't think it's something that I could actually handle. And I don't think a lot of us can handle it. And we know that by, based the sheer number of people who have won lotteries who just absolutely lose it. And you probably end up finding out you got a lot more friends than you actually thought, because, man, if I know I got some friend of mine sitting on a bunch of millions of dollars, I'm probably going to ask for some of it too. Jeff Ray, good morning to you. Have a wonderful Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. Kentucky Derby tomorrow. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for 3 years. I talk about bucket list things. I talk about going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, Canton, all those things, Super Bowls. Man, if you ever get a chance to go to the Kentucky Derby and go in the infield, it is as crazy and as wild as anything I've ever seen at Talladega. And you're thinking, what? The Sport of Kings? They're wearing the nice hats, the Oaks, and all that stuff? Oh, man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It can get as nasty as you want, or it can be as clean as you want. But if you get a chance, even if you don't like horse racing, it is a spectacle. It is one of the most amazing sporting events I've ever seen. And really, the climax, normally when you get ready for a Super Bowl, you have the wheat draw up, and the game's 3 hours. You're talking 2.5 minutes, man, and it's over. I mean, you got races all day long, but you got 2.5 minutes and it's absolutely over. But it's one of the most amazing things. And there's nothing better than watching the Kentucky Derby on television and hearing, and down the stretch they come. I love that. I need to get back to Louisville, Kentucky and go watch me a Kentucky Derby and go to the Oaks. I hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure you download the Tony Kurre Radio app, Tony Kurre, K-U-R-R-E, Tony Kurre Radio app on Android or Apple. It's free. You're doing me a huge favor. Thanks to the tens of thousands of people who have already downloaded the app. You listen to classic rock and roll 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we got 10 different shows, including Tony Kurre Live, The Kurre and Claypool Show, Adaptive Parish, Mission Minded, Dark Side of the Pooch with Ross Bridge Animal Hospital's Dr. Rab Stewart, Live Wire Wednesday with Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, where your word, your handshake still means something. Southern Precision Staffing for your construction or anything else. They're great, kind. Those guys do a bang-up job. We have When in Rome with Stuart Rome, getting after it today, live from Jazz Fest. I'm actually hosting the show, so I picked out some of the songs, and Stuart just nailed it. We got Buddy Guy music, Cool and Gang. It's going to be super killer. The Damon Johnson Show, which also runs on Fridays, is fantastic. Check that show out. And by the way, if you missed the show last night with Austin Hanks, he had Billy Gibbons on. Billy F. Flippin' Gibbons from ZZ Top was on my radio station talking about Tony Kurre, man. It was the coolest thing to listen to him talk about me last night. I love it. Thanks to Austin Hanks and the wonderful job he does. Blues Almighty, a great blues show, airs every single Thursday. And again, you can go to Spotify, search Tony Kurre Radio with a K, and you can listen to hundreds of episodes of everything we've done here on Tony Kurre Radio. We're building this incredible platform to make it easy to listen to on demand, but also get it live whenever you want it, just like radio should be. It's wonderful. Check it out. Have a great weekend. God bless, and we love you. See you.